I keep seeing the same comment over and over.
Build a $50 gaming PC.
Do a $50 gaming PC, fam.
Can you please make a video on a PC that only costs $50, please?
You're stupid. You're so dumb. What an idiot.
But here's the thing. It's not really possible. Even the $100 gaming PC video I made was a stretch that utilized used office hardware and a good deal on a local graphics card. If we get any lower than that, we're going to start having to redefine what exactly a gaming PC even is. But I'm a masochist. So I did what I could, and I think I found something that could fulfill the role of a gaming PC for people who quite literally only have $50 in their budget. But we need to go over some caveats and sacrifices we're going to be making when looking around for a usable PC. We aren't getting a dedicated GPU, no custom building, and no real upgradability. But for 50 bucks, I'd like a PC that can run daily tasks normally. Web browsing, using Discord, watching YouTube videos should all have no problems. And for the gaming portion, as long as I can run some of the more popular esports titles as well as a large portion of emulation, I think I'd be pretty happy. You'd be amazed at how well older retro titles run on modern hardware and how a lot of games really hold up even to this day. I looked around and I eventually found something locally for $50 that I hope will satisfy all of our needs. Big emphasis on hope though. This is the Lenovo ThinkSetter M715Q Tiny. It's a mini PC that released in 2018, so it's about 6 years old at this point. These things come in a huge array of configurations, but the one I got has 8 gigs of DDR4 RAM and a 256 gig M.2 SSD, which isn't a lot of storage space, but it's more than enough to get us started. These mini PCs also come standard with built-in Wi-Fi, tons of USB ports, and even have 3 ports in case you want to run a triple monitor setup. Pretty cool. In terms of expansion, there is a spot to put in a 2.5-inch SATA storage drive, and the RAM could always be expanded to 16 gigs. And my exact unit actually had a previous life inside a local elementary school. I only know this because the owner forgot to wipe the SSD before giving it to me, and I was faced with a unique login screen. But after giving it a fresh install of Windows 10, it ran great. The PC is quite small and light and could fit into basically any setup or even hide behind the monitor if you wanted an ultra clean look. And hey, people pay extra for that these days. You know what else they pay extra for? This video's sponsor.
Thanks to OBSBot for sponsoring this video. This is the OBSBot Meet 2 AI-powered 4K webcam. This compact and lightweight webcam weighing only 40 grams is designed for anyone who values clarity and ease in their virtual communications. It's available in 3 colors, space gray, cloud white, and aurora green. It not only looks sleek, but also delivers exceptional performance. Imagine connecting with colleagues or friends and being seen in stunning detail with ultra high resolution capabilities. The OBSBot Meet 2 offers crystal clear visuals at up to 4K at 30 frames per second or 1080p at 60 frames per second. And whether you're in a brightly lit office or a cozy corner at home, its large half-inch sensor ensures that you look your best even in low light conditions. The OBSBot Meet 2 takes user-friendliness to another level with its AI auto-framing technology. Whether you're sitting alone or presenting with a group, the webcam automatically adjusts to keep you perfectly centered. This means you can move around naturally without the distraction of adjusting your camera. Perfect for dynamic presentations or engaging conversations. Setting up the OBSBot Meet 2 is a breeze. Its magnetic mount allows for easy angle adjustments, and the universal 1/4-inch thread makes it compatible with most tripods. Need instant privacy? Simply snap on the privacy cover for peace of mind in seconds. Perfect for those moments when you need to step away from the screen. For those looking to enhance their streaming experience, the OBSBot Center app makes customization a snap. You can easily adjust image settings and manage multiple devices from a single interface. So whether you're a content creator, a remote worker, or simply connecting with family and friends, this app puts you in full control. Experience the power of clarity, convenience, and cutting-edge technology with the OBSBot Meet 2. If you're ready to elevate your virtual experience, head to the link in the video description to learn more about the Meet 2 and to get one for yourself. And thanks again to OBSBot for sponsoring this video.
Now, the part of the computer that is going to be the most responsible for how well games run on it is going to be the CPU and whatever integrated graphics is built into it. My unit came equipped with an AMD Ryzen 3 Pro 2200 GE. It's a modest entry-level CPU from 2018 that has built-in Radeon Vega 8 graphics. The Ryzen APU has 4 cores, 4 threads, and can boost to 3.6 GHz. Now, for everyday computing, this thing's awesome. I would have no issue running this CPU in a PC that is destined for light office or schoolwork, but it's one of the oldest integrated graphics APUs that Ryzen has on their roster. And actually, outside of a very rare dual-core APU that was released but is basically impossible to find, this is actually the weakest APU they have to offer. If you're unfamiliar with the AMD lingo, there is a lot to dissect in that title. The Pro in the title might sound like it increases performance, but all this means is that this chip came from an OEM like Lenovo or Dell and offers extra security features that corporations might find useful. The G stands for graphics, so these are your APUs that have integrated graphics and can be ran without a dedicated graphics card to display content on your monitor. The E is for efficient, and this might be the part that hurts us the most. Because this computer is so small, they didn't really want to put a super hot and power-hungry chip inside. So these E chips bring the TDP down from 65 watts from the original version all the way down to 35, which of course will make it run cooler, but it also makes you lose quite a bit of performance. So it's going to be quite interesting to see how well it can hold up in this configuration in some modern titles. And since this is an OEM office PC, it's not like we have access to overclocking or really good CPU cooling. So we can't just slide in a better APU into here and be fine. But of course, you can't just buy a computer and call it a day. You'll still need a keyboard, mouse, and monitor at the very least. But if you're on an extreme budget, you can find some really good deals on some of these essentials, and while they aren't going to be top tier gaming accessories, they will get the job done. Or you can just steal them from your secondary school. And for legal reasons, that's a joke. Don't break the law. So we have our PC, but we need to figure out if it can game. So I installed a few different benchmarks and games to see the performance. But before we go into it, please remember, this computer cost only $50, okay? Okay. So I mostly wanted to showcase games that you could comfortably play on this machine, which is going to be mostly lighter titles. League of Legends has been a classic for nearly 15 years for a good reason. It's super fun and can be really played on almost any machine. And even on this $50 PC, at 1080p resolution and medium settings, I was able to play a bot game with an average of about 70 FPS. If I wanted even more frames, I could drop the resolution to get nearly 100, but playing at these settings was a really good balance and totally playable. Fortnite is a title that I thought would run perfectly on literally any machine, but I guess I stand corrected. Even when in performance mode, view distance dropped down and the resolution set to 720p, the best I could get the average FPS was to about 65, which sounds playable, and I guess to the right masochist it is. The 1% lows is in the toilet, basically meaning anytime you shoot your gun or engage in combat, you're gonna get stutters, and that could mean the difference between winning a fight or losing one. So I guess this one is technically playable, but I personally wouldn't bother. Moving on to Valorant, another esports title that can play on any potato, and it did fare much better than Fortnite did. At 720p in low settings, I was able to average around 80 FPS, and the 1% lows was around 15. But other than an insane amount of particles on the screen at once, I didn't really experience the stutters that I did on Fortnite. And just looking at the screen, you can tell this game looks so much better at these settings than the Fortnite did. Sure, I wish the 1% lows was a little better, but I played an entire round on these settings and I'd say I wouldn't think twice about playing Valorant on this machine. You're not going to be cranking 90s and playing at an incredibly competitive level, but just to hang out and play a competitive game with your friends in Discord, this was awesome. Apex Legends is still popular, right? I tried it out on this machine and it honestly took forever to load, so I had very, very low expectations. I had to turn it to 720p, the lowest settings absolutely possible just to get it to this point, and it was still bad. Sure, I was able to get 40 FPS just running around, but the second anything happens, it becomes a stuttery and slow mess. I tried to get a single kill, but it was very difficult. Maybe a better player could make it work, but to me, this was not a good experience, so I would probably skip it. Counter-Strike 2 did a little better. Still had to bring the resolution down just to get a playable frame rate, and while this is playable, it's not really super competitive. But hey, it runs, and that's more than I expected from any of these games. It's easy to see these results and say, oh, I'd rather just not play any video games. But that is probably coming from someone who has a gaming PC already. For me, as a teenager and a broke adult who couldn't afford anything, I would have killed to have any way to play any games, even if it means at 30 FPS. Playing my favorite games poorly is still better than not playing anything, but hey, maybe that's just me. But on a lighter note, Rocket League was actually playable. It's not the highest frame rate, but averaging 60 FPS, I could see myself playing this and having no issues. Things are looking up. Grand Theft Auto 5 is pretty old now, so I was actually able to get through the benchmark pretty seamlessly. Nothing crazy, but 65 FPS with some reasonable 1% lows is totally playable to me. Now, I did get some graphical glitches during this benchmark that I recorded, but I went back while writing this script and redid it, and those glitches went away. Not sure why they appeared here, but they were not recreated, luckily. Probably just a one-off problem. Now, obviously, this machine is not going to play modern AAA games. Cyberpunk, Wukong, Hitman, Red Dead 2 are all off the table. It's just not happening. But there are a ton of older AAA games that are some of the best games ever made, and they run really well on this machine. For example, Mass Effect 2 came out in 2010, but it's really super fun and the graphics totally hold up. I was even able to increase the resolution a little bit and get a nice 60 FPS. And this is essentially a console port, so it doesn't get above 60 at any resolution anyway. But this is an amazing game, playing and looking well, and these old games are sold for pennies these days during Steam sales, so you can even get a ton of amazing games at a huge discount. And with the release of Space Marine 2 recently, maybe you can check out the first Space Marine. It came out in 2011, but it still totally holds up and actually looks really good. You can play around with the resolutions to find what you're most comfortable with, but these settings to me was the most playable. It's so much fun, I actually found myself forgetting that I was recording and just ended up playing the game for a little bit. And let's not forget about emulation. Famicom, Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis, Nintendo 64, and even GameCube, Dreamcast, PlayStation, PSP are all totally playable. Literally thousands upon thousands of great console and handheld games available to play on a $50 machine. It can't really do more modern consoles, so Switch emulation and maybe PS3 are kind of off the table. But most games that came before it are all easy to run and so many good titles you can play. So as we can see, this computer is capable of playing some games without any issues. But there's a whole host of games that are just unplayable. Now, I'm sure this is the part of the video where you're expecting me to not recommend buying a cheap PC like this. Well, that's not actually the case. If it were me and I only had $50 to spend on a PC and I needed it now for work or school, meaning I can't just save up money for a year as some privileged commenters like to suggest, I think buying a PC like this would be just fine for the time being. I would buy this PC and use it as my stopgap for a year while I save up for something better. I'd enjoy playing light esports titles with my friends, go through the entirety of the GameCube collection, and if I really wanted to play some new AAA games, maybe I'd get a cloud gaming subscription for a month or two. Something like GeForce Now or Xbox Game Pass. Since all the processing power is being done on the server side, I can experience some really great AAA games in the meantime, utilizing the power of the cloud. This is Cyberpunk 2077 being ran off this machine, and as long as you have a reliable internet connection, it's almost just as good as playing it off of raw hardware. Now, all of that is assuming I don't have a computer at all, and I absolutely need one right now for stuff outside of gaming. But if I already had a PC, gaming or not, I would probably not buy a $50 PC and just save up some money to buy an actual gaming PC with a dedicated graphics card at whatever budget I can afford in the future. So while I might not recommend everyone run out and buy a bottom dollar PC right now, I just like to make these videos to let people know what options are out there. Since everyone has different needs, different budgets, and come from different countries, my goal is to make sure that everyone on this planet can find a way to enrich their lives through gaming, computers, and technology as a whole. My name's Jason. Thanks for watching.